The following program is for entertainment, educational, and/or experimental purposes only. The comments made are that of the host and guests and do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of New Millennium Living Limited or this station. Please do your due diligence before beginning any changes to your domicile. No health claims are being stated, and the information presented has not been evaluated by Health Canada. Thank you, and enjoy the program.
Hi mates, come closer, sit, rest. It's time for the Secrets of VASTU podcast. What is VASTU and how do I incorporate these energetic principles into my life? Well, VASTU is the ancient 10,000-year-old science of architecture, which originated in India. It's based on specific geometric principles of design and construction which are used to create the most powerful and harmonious living environments on Earth. Utilizing the VASTU tools and techniques, you could literally change everything, both your internal and external worlds. And this can translate into radiant health, unlimited success, and universal prosperity. Described as many as feng-shui on steroids. With outrageous energy comes outrageous health, and with outrageous health comes outrageous wealth. So come with us now on this journey of discovery as we uncover the secret sciences and experiments and almost alien-like materials. It's no longer reserved for just the rich and famous and powerful. Now it's your turn. Time to fall in love with your house once again for the first time. Hey, you probably should have taken that blue pill. Hi everybody, welcome to the VASTU Secrets Podcast. I'm your VASTU guru, Brian Gangle from BGAngel.com. Welcome to today's episode. If you're new to VASTU Secrets, welcome aboard. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so that you can be the first on the block to know when a new episode drops. And if you are a returning avid listener, welcome back. We're so glad that you could take time out of your busy schedule to join us once again. And we've got a great episode for you today. Today we're going to be talking about electrical ground loop feedback energy and how it affects the energetics and the frequency vibration within the VASTU. A very, very advanced issue. So we're so glad. Stand by. It's going to be another drink from the fire hose, I promise. But before we dive into today's episode, we have two live events we want to bring you up to speed on VASTU Secrets. First, as you know, our all-new VASTU Energy Workshop is fast approaching. It's taking place on March 17, 2020. It's happening at the Markham Hilton Suites and Convention Center. And you can get all of the exciting details and tickets over at eventbrite.com and key into the search menu Life Frequency Classes, and it will take you right there. And class number 3 of the lecture series is the brand new VASTU Energy Workshop, and it's all included as part of that all-inclusive ticket price, and it's only $59.95, which includes all 5 of the life frequency classes, including the VASTU Energy Workshop on March 17th. And of course, make sure you get your tickets to the biggest health event in 2020 in Canada, and that is the National Conference of Traditional Healing, featuring the Legends of Health. And what a lineup! T. Colin Campbell, leader in the whole food plant-based movement and author of the best-selling book Whole and the China Study. Joel Furman, the Clements, Brian and Anna Maria, Professor Ralph Moss, Jackie Harvey, hormone expert, Mindy Blackstein, Jeffrey Kipple from Be Body Proud and Fame Media, the incredible Dr. Daryl Wolf, Dame Dr. Sheila McKenzie, Dr. Akbar Khan, Dr. Gerald Smith, Master Francesco Quintero, Miss Andrea Donsky from NaturallySavvy.com, Professor George Grant, Ursula Peter Chanel from Lido's Crystals, Dr. Stanley Nye from the Nye Matrix, Dr. Marcel Wolf, Mr. Tony Horkins, Angela Shim, Sharon Walsh, Lynn Himmelin, the incredible Cheryl Anofsky, the incredible Gabriel Cousins, Dr. Tim Holton, Dr. Leon Trigger, and so many others. Over 30 international speakers. And the workshops are incredible by the way, this amazing conference happens on April 30th, May 1, 2, and 3, 2020 at the Markham Hilton Suites and Conference Center. On Thursday, April 30th, there are 6 incredible workshops for you to partake in, including the Holistic Solutions Diabetes Summit featuring Dr. Joel Furman and friends, the incredible How to Thrive and Stay Alive with Dr. Daryl Wolf, the incredible Dr. Akbar Khan delivering essential cancer prevention tools for practitioners, Dr. Gerald Smith removing the splinters and quantum dentistry, Dr. Gabriel Cousins delivering holistic veganism and spirituality, the incredible Ken Hanshrow from LifeSpring Farms delivering a smorgasbord including biodynamic farming, brand new breakthroughs in CBD oil, and so much more. And that's just on Thursday. On Thursday night, it's World Healing Night, featuring incredible 5 speakers for spiritual enlightenment, expansion, and abundance, and that starts at 6:30, and that is included as part of your all-access inclusive ticket for the World National Conference of Traditional Healing. And also at the same time on Friday, May 1st, over 24 2-hour workshops for you to partake in. And then finally on Friday night, the first wave of the Legends of Health takes place. This incredible 4-day event is on sale right now if you go over to eventbrite.com and in the search menu key in Legends of Health in the Toronto, Canada area. Currently, the event is over 75% sold out, so make sure you mark it on your calendar to make a date with the Legends of Health at the National Conference of Traditional Healing. Hey, let's dive into today's episode. Now, this new VASTU breakthrough is something that it was elusive and escaped our attention. And a lot of it also has a meaning with the brand new 5G technology and, of course, the electromagnetic spectrum, which we talk a lot about in previous episodes here at VASTU Secrets. Now, this has to do with the electrical system and something called ground loop electricity. And it's a very fascinating subject. Now, this ground loop electricity, or otherwise known as earth loop electricity, occurs when 2 points of a circuit are intended to have the same ground reference potential, but instead these 2 points have different potentials between them. And this can be caused, for example, in a signal circuit referenced to the ground, if enough current is flowing into the ground to cause both points to be at different potentials. Now, ground loops are a major cause of noise, otherwise known as hum or interference, in audio, video, and computer systems. And it really has to do with what's called the 50 hertz or 60 hertz electrical circuits. And you can actually hear it when you actually listening to your cell phone and you come close to some electrical circuit. Many of the cell phones today will actually pick up this ground-induced interference. And interestingly enough, wiring practices that protect against ground loops include ensuring that all vulnerable circuits which are exposed either have one point as a ground. To use different connections can provide rejections of the ground-induced interference. Removal of safety ground connections to equipment in an effort to eliminate the ground loops also eliminates the protection the ground circuit connectivity is intended to provide. So we have to find some new method to eliminate this feedback loop of electricity. Now, in the VASTU, we know that any 60 cycle or 60 hertz electrical signals are obviously not in harmony with the human body or earth frequencies, which we now know to be at 50 cycles or 50 hertz. Now, a ground loop is caused by the interconnection of electrical equipment that results in there being multiple paths to the ground. So a closed conductive loop can be formed. A common example is two pieces of electrical equipment, let's say number A and number B, and each is connected to a utility outlet by a 3-conductor cable and plug, which we commonly see. We have positive and negative and ground, so 3-prong cables. And they can pass the data or audio signal from one to the other. So the shield or screen of the data cable is typically connected to the ground equipment chassis of both the A and the B, forming a closed loop with ground conductors of the power cord, which then are connected through the building's utility ground wire. So as you know, if you were able to take a look in the basement, if you lived in a home, you would see this metal spike buried in the concrete foundation of the home. That is to anchor the home, and that is where all of those third grounding wires, the green one or the third prong on all of the electrical circuits, they are all eventually connected to that master ground, which is then connected to the earth sequence. However, if we have a feedback loop of electricity, it can jump, if you will, from the positive to the negative to the ground and create this interference or electromagnetic induction. In effect, the ground loop acts as a single-turn secondary winding of the transformer, and the primary being the summation of all of the current carrying the connections nearby the ground equipment. So therefore, it creates this biofeedback or this resistance loop, which is very low and often has only 1 ohm, spelled OHM, and this can weaken the magnetic field and induce this chaotic or out of order electrical frequency, and we sometimes call this discordant electrical circuits. So in many cases, for every watt of electricity going through a cord, we could have 18 watts of divergent, non-collateral electricity leaving the cord. And that electricity could be coming off at 60 cycles. You don't experience this problem in Europe, where many of the electrical circuits and many of the electrical conductivities are actually at the 50 cycles. In North America, it's mostly 60 cycles, 60 hertz. And so then we can have this biofeedback loop, which we affectionately call ground loop electricity. Now, how do we remediate this? And what do we do about it? Well, there's a couple of amazing breakthroughs. One of the most amazing breakthroughs is something called stereo ground loop isolators. These are otherwise affectionately called noise filters, and they have 2 channels, and they usually work with something called an RCA jack. If you are into audio equipment or an audiophile, you'll easily know the RCA jack. It's a very, very common connection that's on the end of the electrical cable on most audio cables, whether you're connecting it to a stereo or you're connecting it to a turntable or an amplifier. RCA jacks, male and female jacks, are extremely common. In the middle is this incredible coil that's embedded inside the cable. The coil acts as its own isolator of this ground loop electricity. And what it does, essentially, is steps down or reduces the 60 cycle hum or chaotic out of order frequency down to 50 cycles. And so this is a very interesting concept. Now, what would you do if you had the electrical signal, let's say your carrier was either a 4G or 5G carrier, and it's bringing the data to the router within your home? How would you remediate or fix this out of order electrical circuit? Very simply, if you take a look on the back of the router, you'll see you have many cable jacks or ports that you can plug into. So if we create our own feedback loop by plugging in the stereo ground loop isolator, what we actually do is filter out the chaotic noise. Translation for those of you who don't speak electrical biocheminese, you are essentially remediating or stepping down the 60 cycle out of order electrical frequency down to 50 cycles, and you can actually harmonize this chaotic distorted energy. Now, for those of you who are in audio equipment, you already know about this because you don't want to have a static noise or what they call hum happening when you're trying to listen to your perfect crystal digital tuning audio system. You want nice crystal sound. That is why you pay so much money to have these incredible audio systems. So we already know about using stereo ground loop isolators. In many of the high-end stereo equipment, it's actually built in. But for us, when we have another piece of equipment that is not necessarily using that style of equipment, then you can end up with this chaotic, distorted hum or out-of-order frequency, 60 cycle hertz electrical signals, which can then interfere with the delicate balance of the electrical fields which we have within the VASTU, within our domicile. So by utilizing the stereo ground loop isolators, we can harmonize and bring back into coherence many of the electromagnetic fields that otherwise were not in alignment with the human body. So this brand new technology is now available to us, and we can simply apply this to the electrical equipment. Now, of course, follow the guidelines on all of the electrical equipment before you decide to add any electrical equipment or any accessories to your TVs, to your routers, to your audio equipment. Always follow the manufacturer's guidelines and practice proper electrical precautions and securities before you decide to add any electrical equipment of your own. If you're in doubt, consult a qualified electrician or consult your audiophile or audio technician or audio expert before you decide to apply any external equipments. Now, this is brand new technology that just came to our attention, and we are currently still in the experimental phases, but we are showing a lot of promise here using stereo ground loop isolators to eliminate this noise interference, especially the 60 cycle interference. And not only are we getting better audio equipment, better audio sound, and better audio output, also we're getting better video output. We're not getting so much of the static lines. And at the same time, that same technology can be used when we're dealing with the incoming data signals that are coming in from the 4G and 5G technologies. And this is another tool in our arsenal to help us harmonize the chaotic, distorted electromagnetic fields which interfere with the VASTU. I invite you to go over and do some research on your own. I think you're going to be absolutely fascinated by what you can discover. I find this kind of technology just amazing, and I am really, really happy to share some of my breakthroughs with you. And this is another thing which is very, very important in the VASTU. When you take a look at the schematics and the diagrams of using these feedback loop technologies, it's really quite astonishing when you begin to understand the electromagnetic soup that we live in today's environments. It's not something new. We have it since the beginning of radio transmissions, followed by the increase in television transmission signals, which are all around us, and then the explosion with the telecommunication industry and, of course, wireless technologies. The minute that we hooked up our computers to the wireless internet, that was the next explosion, and of course, in our unquenching thirst for data at faster speeds, well, that's when all of a sudden there was an explosion in the electromagnetic fields, which now leads to the new toxicity of our age called electromagnetic smog. And now with the big boys putting more satellites into the upper ionosphere and upper atmospheres, we're going to see a further explosion and acceleration of electromagnetic disorders and diseases with the mammalian life forms here on Earth. And so this is definitely an oncoming tsunami of problems, not just in the health front, but many, many other fronts as well. So not just environmental, not just with economic, but also with our own mammalian life form. And we see these things interfering with the Vastu. So we definitely have to pay greater attention to this oncoming problem. And if it is possible for us to find elegant, easy solutions that don't cost a lot of money, then that is definitely the way to go. If you have any other further questions you'd like to ask the Vastu Guru about any of these issues or any of the things from our previous episodes, by all means, just drop me a line to bgangel777@gmail.com, and I'd be glad to get your questions answered. Hey, make a note on your calendar if you are in the Ontario area 2020 this coming March. You definitely want to stop by on March 17th at the Markham Hilton Suites and join us for our live, all-new Vastu Energy Workshop. And you can get more details at my website at bgangel.com. And we have a lot of new updates on the National Conference of Traditional Healing, featuring new workshops that are being added literally on a weekly basis, and new speakers joining us from around the world at the National Conference of Traditional Healing. And you can get a lot more details over at my website portal as well at bgangel.com. And in the search, just go into the National Conference of Traditional Healing. I look forward to seeing all of you at some of our live events. I'm so glad you were able to take time out of your busy schedule to join us again for today's episode of Vastu Secrets. Vastu blessings to you all until we meet again. Bye for now.